Point of continuing, Sarah. Here's my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, and 30 this week. All right. The films turning 10, oh man. We, of course, got Oz Great and Powerful. Now, while Wizard of Oz, of course, turns, I believe maybe 99 this year. I can't remember how old that thing was. But while Wizard of Oz celebrates its oldest anniversary this year, there's, of course, Oz Great and Powerful, which was actually Sam Raimi's last movie he did before he did Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, believe it or not. And of course, Oz Great and Powerful is like a prequel to The Wizard of Oz, with James Franco playing Oscar Diggs, who is herded away to Kansas, into the wonderful land of Oz, and of course there he encounters three witches, one of which is, spoiler alert, the Wicked Witch of is of course Theodore, who will go on to be the Wicked Witch of the West. That is voiced by played by Mila Kunis. You have Rachel Weisz, who plays the other sister, Eleanor, who will obviously later go on to get killed by Dorothy, by the house. And of course, you got Glinda, played by Michelle Williams, who's of course the Good Witch. And they of course remain like unconvinced that like Oscar is a great, powerful wizard here. I mean, the Wizard of Oz is obviously my favorite movie of all time. So when they announced that they were doing a prequel, I'm like, okay, that actually is intriguing. See, Oz Grand and Powerful is awesome. I adore this film. Of course, James Franco now is very problematic. Talk about anything James Franco related nowadays. But James Franco, I thought was great at playing the wizard. He definitely embodied the wizard perfectly. Definitely I imagine what the wizard would probably be here. Of course, Mila Kunis was great. You had Bruce Campbell as the Wiki God. That is something I never knew I needed. Of course, Tony Cox was also in this. Joey King. You had who else? Oh yeah, Bill Cobbs was also in this. You had some really great, Zach Braff was also in this. Some great supporting players. If you guys, of course, the visuals look stunning. I mean, definitely what a modern take on Wizard of Oz definitely looks. The Yellow Brick Road I thought was great. I had a fun time with this one. I remember seeing this in theaters. It blew my mind how great this thing was. All right. Also turning 10, we got some other movies that's more smaller fare. One of which is Dead Man's Down, which stars Colin Farrell, Terrence Howard, and Numi Rapace, and its rising gangland player Victor, played by Colin Farrell, infiltrates the criminal empire run by Alphonse, played by Terrence Howard. But his aim is not to accumulate prestige and power. Victor's mission is to make Alphonse pay for destroying his once happy life. And I will say this right now: this movie is not all that great. I mean, you got some good cast members. You got Colin Farrell, Terrence Howard's great in this, but the movie is just a little bit. It's not all that great. It was a little boring at the time when I first saw this thing. This plot didn't make sense. I mean, the acting talent in this, like Colin Farrell and Terrence Howard, their acting abilities in this was wasted, in my opinion. So, yeah, not that great of a flick. I believe it was actually directed by the same guy who did the girl who actually directed New Meter Pace and the girl with the dragon tattoo. But yeah, this wasn't all that great of a flick. All right, also turning 10, we got Emperor, which starred Tommy Lee Jones as General Douglas MacArthur, along with Matthew Fox, and it's following the Japanese surrender of the end of World War II, where Jen Bonner Fellers must determine whether Emperor Hirohito should be hanged as a war criminal. I remember watching this one in theaters. I literally almost fell asleep. This is one of the most boring movies I've ever had the pleasure of watching. Tommy Lee Jones really made for a good Douglas MacArthur, I meant, but Matthew Fox, where on earth has he been lately? Yeah, Matthew Fox I have not seen him in anything for a while, but yeah, at the time, Matthew Fox has been in some questionable films. He was in this, he was in that Tyler Perry Alex Cross movie, which is terrible. It really, showed him that his career after Lost has not been the best, which is disappointing because I think Matthew Fox was great on Lost, but hey, it is what it is, I guess. All right. Now we got some other small films. Turning 10. We got ABC's of Deaths, which contains 26 shorts, each by different directors spanning 15 centuries. And of course includes the Deaths that includes the alphabets in it. These Some of these films was actually directed by May star Angela Bettis, Ty West, who just directed X, Casa Nacho Vigilon, Wingo, who's of course directing the upcoming Meg sequel. So you had some really cool directors on board. Of course, they did do an ABC of that too. Direct like some of the story arcs was great. It was really intriguing. Lots of these directors did a great job. I mean, definitely had a bit of a VHS vibe at times, but really decent little horror flick if you guys never seen that. Also turning 10. This one I actually remember watching at AMC Empire 25 back in 2013, which I did not even know much about this when I first saw it. It was a movie called The Adventures of Serial Buddies, about a group of dim-witted murder mind rejects embark on a crazy road trip. Some of the cast members includes the likes of Christopher Lloyd, Henry Winkler, Two Broke Girls star Beth Bears, Maria Menounos, Captain Lee Gifford, Audie Lang, Christopher McDonough. I mean, this is a really fun road trip movie if you guys never seen it. Very underrated. Some of the group of cast was really fun. I mean, if you guys have not seen it, not sure where you'll find nowadays, but I saw this one in theaters, and I had a fun time with it. Also turning 10, we got The Girl, which is of course about Alfred Hitchcock, who was of course at the height of his fame and creativity when in 1962 he chose an unknown fashion model to star in his most ambitious film ever, The Birds. However, he sculpted Tippi Hedren into the perfect Hitchcock blind of his imagination. He became obsessed with the impossible dream of winning the real woman's love. His failure destroyed both of their careers. Has Sienna Miller, who played Tippi Hedren. Toby Jones was Alfred Hitchcock. This came out like a year after they did that Hitchcock movie of Anthony Hopkins, which was maybe a little better, but I know this was a trend. Toby Jones really embodied the role of Hitchcock perfectly. Not as good as Anthony Hopkins was, but Toby Jones played it well. Sienna Miller was great. Really decent little film if you guys haven't seen it. All right. Also turning 20. Holy cow! I can't believe these are that old. We got one of my favorite comedies of that year, Bringing Down the House. Now, if you guys don't know much about this, it stars Steve Martin, Queen Latifah, Eugene Levy, Betty White was even in this. You also had the kid who played Jake from Two and a Half Men, Angus T. Jones, and Kimberly J. Brown for all you Halloween Town fans. And the film features Steve Martin as Peter Sanderson, a lonely lawyer who meets a woman on the internet, only to learn that that she has escaped prison to prove her innocence. She then proceeds to wreak havoc on his own upper class life. And Bring Down House is such a fun flick. Directed by Adam Shankman, who's directed movies like Hairspray, Two Brothers and Two. He just put out Disenchanted. This is a really fun flick. Steve Martin and Queen Latifah both had great chemistry with one another. Eugene Levy is great in this. I love this movie. If you guys ever seen, if you guys have never seen Bring Down the House, do yourself a favor, go watch it. Where is my secret to this is beyond me, but who knows if that's ever happening. All right, also turning on 20, we got Tears of the Sun, which was directed by Antoine Fuqua, who of course gave us Training Day, and stars Bruce Willis. And in it, it's an action thriller depicting a ferocious U.S. Navy SEAL team rescue mission amidst the 21st century version of the Civil War in Nigeria. And you got Bruce Willis, who plays Lieutenant A.K. Waters, who commands the team sent to rescue U.S. citizen, and Dr. Lena Flora Kendricks, played by Monica Bellucci, before the approaching rebels reach the Jungle Hospital. Now, this is actually a pretty fun action movie. Like Bruce Willis, of course, at the height of his career, I don't really play his part really well here. Monica Bellucci is really great in this. You had Tom Skerritt, Cole Hauser. The visuals, maybe one of the best visuals I've seen in a Bruce Willis action movie, in my opinion. Scenery looks beautiful. I thought this was a really fun flick. All right. Also turning 20, we got Laura Cannon, which was directed by Kids Are Alright director Lisa Chadwick, and stars the likes of Christian Bale, Kate Beckinsale, Frances McDormand, Alessandra Nivola, Melissa De Sosa. And if you guys don't know much about the story of this, you got Christian Bale who plays Sam and his fiance Alex, played by Kate Beckinsale, moved to LA for the summer to stay at the luxurious house of his mother Jane, played by Frances McDormand. And while like she's away, but Jane, who's like a hip record producer, has not left yet because she's still working on a project with her British musician boyfriend Ian, played by Alexander Navala. And Sam and Alex also feels the pull of Jane's fast-paced, descendant lifestyle, and their relationship starts fray when they get involved with other people. Really decent little flick. I mean, Lisa Aytosh did a great job directing. Christian Bale was great. Frances McDormand, like, talk about a great cast there. All right, we also got The Safety of Objects, which was directed by Rose Troge. Um, and starred the likes of Glenn Close, Dermot Mulroney, Patricia Clarkson, Mary Kay Place, a very young Kristen Stewart, Timothy Oliphant. And the film, is based on a collaboration of short stories of the same name here, and it features four suburban families who find their lives become intertwined. And it's a really decent little flick here. Glenn Close is great. Dermot Mulroney is always terrific. Really decent little film if you guys haven't seen that. Also, the film's turning 20 this week. We got the rap mockumentary comedy CB4, which was directed by Billy Madison, director Tamara Davis, and starred Chris Rock, along with appearances by Halle Berry, Easy E, Ice T, Ice Cube, Flavor Flav, Shaquille O'Neal, Alan Payne was in this, Charlie Murphy, Chris Elliott, and the film follows a fictional rap group named CB4, named after the prison block in which the group was allegedly from Cell Block 4. And the movie primarily parodies a rap group, NWA, because, of course, at the time, NWA was very popular and everything, with, of course, songs like Straight Outta Compton or, F the Police. And also, of course, they were trying to capitalize on the success of NWA. And of course, they take inspirations from the This Is Spinal Tap. So this was, of course, like This Is Spinal Tap fame. CB4 is really fun. Obviously, rap nowadays is not as great as it was in the '90s. But Chris Rock, you could really buy him as this rapper here. Halle Berry is great in this. I adore this film. It's so fun, really entertaining. Of course, Tamara Davis will also go on to direct the Britney Spears movie Crossroads. She recently put out that Netflix musical movie, 13 the Musical, which was pretty decent. And this is a really fun flick if you guys haven't ever seen that. All right, also turning 20, we got A Far Off Piece, which stars a very young Reese Witherspoon. And it's a 1993 American adventure drama based on Lawrence Vander's work here. And the plot centers on three young teenagers who must cross the Kalahari Desert to safety when their parents are murdered by a poacher. And this is a really decent flick. Of course, I think this was Reese Witherspoon's first feature, or was it something else? I think it was The Man on the Moon was her first feature, but this was, of course, one of her earliest movies she's done. Really decent little flick here. Great cast members. Really, of course, you had Maximum Show was also in this. Ethan Randall, Jack Thompson. Really decent flick. All right, now we also got some other films turning 30, which are actually not so great. One of which we got the action movie Street Night, where gang violence sparked by a professional killer played by Christopher Name brings a former LA policeman played by Jeff Speakman back to the job. This This movie was trying to capitalize on iconic 80s action movies that Arnold's and Stallone made popular, but it was not good at all. Really terrible. Really felt like a bad Steven Seagal movie that Steven Seagal actually said no to. But yeah. All right, we also got the sci-fi movie Fire in the Sky, which stars D.B. Sweeney, Robert Patrick, James Garner, Craig Schaefer, Henry Thomas, Pierre Berg, and here's what the film's about. In 1975, a group of five men are driving home after working in the forest when they see a mysterious light. Intrigued, um, Travis Watson, played by D.B. Sweeney, leaves the truck only to be sucked up by a flying saucer. The other four men report the strange event, but they are skeptically integrated by Lieutenant Frank Walter, played by James Garner, who suspects that murder is behind Watson's disappearance. When Walton reappears 5 days later, his life um, of alien abduction is met with disbelief. And this is not a great film. I mean, you had some good cast members like D.B. Sweeney, of course, did stuff like Dinosaur, Do the Right Thing, but he wasn't all that great in this. The of course you had Robert Patrick was also in this. It's not a really good sci-fi movie at all. I mean, they were trying to capitalize on success of stuff like, they were trying to become like Close Encounter, but that didn't even succeed. So, not a good film here. But that's pretty much it there. Let me leave it to you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one will obviously be Oz Great and Powerful. The 20-year one will be Bring Down the House, and the 30-year one will be CB4. Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Henry signing out.